Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. I'm just gonna move the mic. Okay. Cool. All right. I'm going to quickly get the link to the stream. And then we'll get the ball rolling. Okay. Why is that so big? That's not supposed to be so big. There we go. Yep. Nice. Okay, that's better. Cool. Give me 1 sec. Gonna copy link. Post it. And then we'll get the ball rolling. Maybe we can do the tutorial section today. Okay. Beautiful. So, in order for me to be able to see the chat, I need to plug in the phone. And bam. Okay. So, what are we working on today? We're going to be working on getting the tutorial. Yes. Getting the tutorial up and running, hopefully. For starters, we need to make a tile set. Because the tutorial section is going to have 4 lanes isolated from one another, 1 for each player. The players will press a button in order to spawn in or choose which character they play as. They'll go through a little bit of a tutorial, and then, yeah, and then they'll be into the main game. What is the dimension of tiles? 32 by 32. Got it. Okay, so we're looking for something like a dungeon tile in this case. Okay. I need to find a way to lay down my phone in a way where I can still see what's happening. Okay. We're doing dungeon. So we're gonna go for something yellowish, kind of green. There we go. Grab my pen. My Apple pen. Jeez. Let's not spill crap all over my table. Okay. So we're doing a brick floor. Um, hmm. I think that could work. I see, if I wasn't an idiot, I wouldn't have painted this on the same layer. I'm just looking at the camera angle. Technically, the camera angle is going to be at this 45-degree, well, bird's eye view type angle, which means the stones would have to be squished a little bit. But I would like to not lose the original because the original kind of looks nice. Okay. Let me just work with this for the time being. Just gonna get some detail going here. I used to use a noise texture in order to add some noise to get some variation. But then I saw one of my students make sprites and hand adjust these details, and it honestly looked way better than anything I'd ever done with the noise texture. So yeah, that's fun. Okay, so we are gonna make a couple of them a little bit darker. Cool. And the lights is going to be coming from the top. Probably going to enable a blending mode for this. Mm-hmm. Okay. Nice. Okay. Now this is a single tile. Man, I have such a weird conundrum. Um, I'm on this nighttime developer cycle where I'm most productive at night. I know that technically one should strive for a daytime routine. But I also know that if I were to do a daytime routine, I probably wouldn't have come up with the sort of changes that I've made into the intro comic book cinematic last night. I mean, maybe I would have, but there's been so many nights when late at night I would actually come up with something really interesting and usable um, that I don't think I would during the day. So it's like, okay, am I just permanently a night owl? Which vendor assets? Tiles. Okay. Dungeon. Nice. I feel like we should have a slightly brighter version of one of the tiles. Yeah, just like that. Nice. So it looks uneven. Okay, so now that we're done with this, we need to create an auto tile. So 256 by 256. Let's go ahead and get a file layer. And okay. We're going to enable the grid. This is going to be 16 by 16 so that there's a line going halfway through the tile. Okay, we're going to do a clone layer. And then just kind of move the clone layers like this. And the benefit of using a clone layer is that if I change the original to a different file, all the clone layers are going to follow suit. And that's kind of what we want. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yes. I need to make one of these to be, yeah, there we go. Much more distinct. Don't need this. Actually, I'm just gonna take this. Like that. Join it. Okay. Ah, yes, we should probably save this. So, dungeon auto tile. So, I'm going to paint a mask. Let's pick a color that is totally different so I can easily see it. Oh, okay. Current layer only. There we go. Can I put on some music? Music. There we go. So this is supposed to be an inverted mask. I'm not sure how well this is going to work, but I guess we'll see. Okay, so that looks good. This is a mask, so we're going to put this up and make it inherit from the mask. There we go. Now, I do want this to have a three-dimensional kind of look. Maybe we go blue here. This might not connect perfectly, especially on the edge there. I guess we'll just have to work with it. Okay. I will crop. Yeah, that looks good. Actually, does it? No. There we go. Okay, let's get this exported. Engine tiles, and this is dungeon auto tile. Tile map layer. I think we should be able to load. I guess no. Maybe we'll just create a new one. New auto tile. This is 32 by 32. Yup. Wait. That did not look right. Nice. Okay, then we have to paint terrain connections, which I think we are doing match corners. Select all the tiles participating in this auto tile, and then there we go. That's what we needed. Okay, I'm pretty sure this is all that we need to do. I love this soundtrack. One of the Minecraft homesteads. Okay. That looks good. That seems to work. Okay, now the background is supposed to be black here. How can we do that? Parallax layer. The heck is a parallax 2D? To create parallax scrolling background. Used to create parallax effect. You can move in a different speed relative to the camera. Does this not require the parallax background node? Let's try it. This might be a new one. Okay, we're gonna do a gradient. Okay, I don't like this color selector. HSV. Rectangle. Yes. Except, I think we need to reboot. No? Maybe not. We might have to reboot it. Nope. Still doesn't want to do it. Yeah, that's what I want. HSV rectangle. Okay. Vishal, good day. Okay. Where can we set the dimensions of this texture? Okay. Interesting. There's no default sprite for the player. Masternode character choices. Invalid assignment to property keys sprite frames with value type sprite frames on base object of type null instance. Wait, what the heck? That player isn't a player. There we go. Okay. Wave in progress on base. Right. We're relying on a node that has to be in the level. We could check if the name is main game. Okay, that is large enough. Where's my controller? Connect. Come on, there we go. Well, the parallax effect seems to be working. Oh, spoke too soon. Ah, there we go. That's what we want. But we need it to be positioned within the boundaries of this rectangle. Nice. And this seems to be a bit too big. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Okay, so this tutorial section is going to ask the players to press a button to spawn in as one of the characters. Mm-hmm. But we just go pure black. We need to make the camera be stationary for the beginning. Actually, maybe not stationary. Maybe we're going to do snapped. We're going to replace a variable of average position with target position. And then if snapped is true, target position will be the snap position. We're going to place it before here for snapping the camera. This will allow us to toggle the camera from snapped state to a follow state. So now, if I were to run the game, camera should be stationary, giving the players enough time to select which player they want to play as. Now, okay. I'm gonna set the zoom to 100%, then take a screenshot. If this thing allows me to, come on. Shift Windows key S. Hello? Is that not a thing with Windows 11 anymore? Ow. God damn it. Is like Windows key print screen or something? Or just print screen? Ah, print screen. Okay, got it. I gotta travel all the way to the top right corner of the keyboard now. So this is going to be a picture frame. we can go contrasting color. Hmm. Okay. It's not really a picture, it's a canvas frame. There's an option here to trim the contents. Nice. Mm-hmm. This might be a bit too big. Okay. So X, Y, A, and B is what people would press to select which character they want to play as. Mm-hmm. Okay, now my particular controller doesn't have the color codes. The buttons are just all the same color. Let's see. Y. Okay. So yellow, A is green, X is blue, B is yellow, or Y is yellow, excuse me. Also, I painted this on the background. B is red. X is already blue. We're gonna export all at once. Okay. What the? Oh, it didn't export it correctly. The soundtrack. We need to preload this. Mm-hmm. Okay. Hmm. Should this be in the level or should this be... Oh boy. I feel like we might have to place this pop-up in the level. There we go. We're gonna give it a default texture so we can see something. Go. Just give it some canvas variation. Okay. That's a bit better. Oh, that is giant. Why is that so big? (64 by 64). Ah, okay. I don't want to scale it down because that's just going to result in incorrect resolution. Nice. Hmm. Maybe what I'm missing here are walls. Hmm. Need to make the game stretch. get a wiggle going. A little bit too much. Hmm. I feel like I should just do... Hello, sir. Mill done. Ah, logo change. Got it. Understood. Okay. So I think I might actually just want to do portraits here. I need to somehow separate this guy from the background. This is not the new game. This is me returning to an older project. So I think the reason why it has kind of a cheap look to it is because I'm reusing a lot of the sprites instead of just committing and painting custom portraits. Why do I not use the vector layer? Vector layer would be absolutely pointless at these resolutions. I mean, if I use a vector layer, right? Okay. Oh, well, looks great. Wow. Fantastic. You know, just working on pixel art here. Very low resolution. Besides, if I really need any sort of vector work done, most likely it's going to be for user interface, and I'm just going to be using Inkscape for that. Small size, yep. Small dimensions. There we go. He's getting jiggy with it. Yeah. got 4 portraits. Okay. Can't seem to click on stuff. Is enough income selling 2D games? It's not about 2D or 3D, it's about the quality of the game. I've been playing a game called Coffin of Andy and Lele, which is a 2D game made on a very simple game engine. But that game is two-dimensional. There's absolutely nothing super over the top in terms of gameplay, like super simple gameplay. But the story is really well written, and that's what sells it really, really well. 28,000 positive reviews to this point. So it's not about 2D or 3D, it's about the quality of your game. Okay, there we go. Good story and quality. So, what do I mean by quality? If you play that game, you will find that the gameplay wise, it's moving up, down, left, and right, and then pressing the interact button. And that's it. So you interact to, I don't know, like interact with an object and it gets picked up. And it's a pre-programmed, hard-coded system too. There's nothing that's really that intricate. There are no real brain teasers outside of just a couple of very simple puzzles. That game is entirely run on just a really well written set of characters. Okay, we might want to expose the camera zoom here. Zoom level. think it's being overridden. Yep. Okay. Okay, we can make it like this. When it's snapped, it will use that value. Mm-hmm. Okay, always on top is there. Why always on top doesn't seem to work? Hmm. Okay. So players press one of the buttons. That player gets chosen. And they will spawn in down here, and their canvas is going to become empty. And if you're playing with keyboard, you just press X, Y, A, or B on the keyboard. Man, I'm not sure why the always on top is not functioning properly. Four-player game, yes, optionally. Okay. Let's start with the controller. Okay, so we press X, Y, A, or B. We need to be able to detect it. Okay, so we have all these actions defined here. We have Xbox Y, Xbox X, but we don't have any other ones. So I think we might want to, instead of using actions, we might want to sample inputs manually here. Event joypad button. Okay. X, Y, A, or B. We might want to store extra information here so that we can somehow match the buttons that we are reading to the choice we've made here or here. So we might want to store not just the image, but also, let's do this. Joy button X. These are constants. They're built into the Godot engine. And they're effectively, as you can see by the pop-up, this one's equals to 3. Joy button A. Joy button B. Okay, so now that we store this here, when we sample the input from a pressed button, we can check what kind of event is it. So what do we have? Button index, joy button, which is again one of these buttons. Perfect. So that's actually fantastic. So I'm going to take button index and check if it's been pressed. So if event pressed and event button index is, and we're going to match it up to whichever selected input key, specifically the second value here, if it matches this. Okay, so bit of a web conundrum here. We need to make sure we update this because it has to access the first piece of data, the texture. Event pressed, event button index is this, input key 1. Okay, how do we know if the key was pressed? Let's make a wiggle multiply. It's going to be 0.0. Here, we're going to set it to 1.0. And then we are going to add, I think we just want to add this here. Let's make it 20. Sure. Uh-huh, look at that. Nice. Let's go faster. Mm-hmm. Maybe we can slow it down a bit more. Okay. Cool. So now, here's what we need to do. we get rid of the player. We're gonna need to make the key prompt spawn in the player in the appropriate zone. But for that, they need to know where those zones are. So we're gonna make this one-time unique thing. We're gonna use node2d nodes to mark the spawn point. And then if it matches, it is going to wiggle this. We do want it to calm down afterwards though. So we're gonna do this. This should make it return back to 0. Nice. Okay, now we need to spawn the player. Will it work if you use a PlayStation Sony controller? Of course. As long as your computer recognizes your controller like a DirectX input controller, then yes. Okay, so we need to spawn a player there. The end key is not close. Okay, so we're gonna use the spawn point. Global position. Bam, 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 bam. Okay. Good. Now, we need to make sure we cannot spawn it more than once. So, we're going to make a variable called chosen. And then in the input, if chosen is true, return. Otherwise, do the rest. Chosen will become true. And now, we have to... We have to tell the player what type of input it is supposed to be using. Now, how the hell does it know? Chosen input method. Okay, in this case, we're using this master node player input methods. So it gets appended here, underscore inv drop. So controller underscore 0 underscore inv drop. So that's the naming convention. Okay. So that means here, player controller. What was the thing? It runs the ready function and attempts to get the data from here. I feel like we should be populating it here. Okay. Let's just do it here for now. Chosen input method. And then, since we're processing controllers, it's always going to be controller underscore, but the number we can pull from here. button index, input event, device, and it gives us an integer. I believe so, yes. We need to stringify this. Okay. Let's give it a try. Nice, okay. Now, we can still create a second player with the same controller. So we need to make sure that we create some kind of a pool of controllers that should be ignored. And that I think would be done in the master node. There we go. It's just easier to pull it up like this instead of searching for it here. Var. Let's say claimed controllers. So we're going to append to it the word controller. Well, technically this thing. And now before we do this whole thing, we check if master node in the claimed controllers has this already in it. And if it does, return. Do not process it, so that should make only one controller be used once. There we go, and look at that. Perfect. Now, the portrait will need to become empty. We can do it like this. Okay, so this way we can just talk to the parent. And then we're gonna load the texture of an empty canvas. And set it here. Nice. We'll need some special effects for it, but that's okay. Alright, now, prompt has to disappear. Which we can do with a chosen variable. Modulate alpha will smoothly transition to 1.0 if chosen is well, is not chosen, else it's going to be 0.0. There we go. Oops. Okay. Maybe a little slower. Okay. I need a second controller to test the other piece. Right. I do have a wired controller. It's one of those 8-bit Do third-party controllers, which people are saying they're really good. They're really good and really cheap. Oh wow, this thing is packaged pretty well. Man, I bought this thing almost a year ago. I was gonna open it on the stream under a camera, but plans have changed. Man, this thing is packaged really well. Interesting. Okay, so this thing is wired. Try 4 of them. Well, I can't spawn 4 of them without having 4 controllers. Not anymore, at least. Give me 1 sec. Just gonna plug in the controller. And... there we go. Okay. The game just crashed. Or something. Okay, so Y, and then A. Nice. Look at that. Beautiful. It does seem to want to open the inventory as soon as it spawns in, though. Okay. Now, how do we know if we're done selecting the characters? Oh yeah, we also need to get the keyboard. Right. So we have controller 0, keyboard, controller 1, and controller 2. Ah, right. What if we do controller 4 controllers? Then it would be controller 4, which I believe we do have. We don't. Oh, right. 0, 1, 2, 3. Yes, we do. Okay, good. Okay, so we need to do a keyboard system now. It's okay. If event is input event key. Okay, I'm gonna need to move this over here because this is based on the controller. And I'm gonna have to copy this. Yep. Now we're not doing multiple keyboards here, so we could just only check for the word keyboard. Okay. We are checking if it's pressed. And we need to check if it's So we actually have to mention it here as well. Key X. Because we have to have something to compare it with. Key Y. Key A. Key B. That's it. So now here, we're simply going to compare against the second piece. if that's the case, we do this. We basically repeat the same thing. Except we attach keyboard. And there's no device ID. What are you complaining about? Indent. Oh, it's this thing. Okay, I think that should work. Okay, so if I press Y, it crashes. Got it. Oh, no button index, right. This doesn't have a button index, this has a key code. Slightly different terminology. Okay. Y, beautiful. And then A, X, and B don't work anymore. B, X. There we go. Okay. Now would it be nice if we could cancel and choose a different option? Let's see, what do we need to do for this? We need to destroy the player, which means we need to be able to store it. Of course, we do want to make sure there's a logical limit. We can't let the players choose a different character at the end of the tutorial, so only in the beginning. Okay, there we go. So we're going to have it set my player instead. Okay, if it's chosen, we're going to let it cancel. Okay. So if input event joy button, then if event is pressed and in this case we're going to give it what? What is the back button? Joy button back. I think that's universal. Sony select Xbox back Nintendo button. Yes, perfect. Okay. So my player queue free. We also need to make a record of the original texture. My portrait texture. In the ready function, we're gonna do get parent texture. We're gonna put that in here so we have a record of it. Okay, so when we queue free, we talk to the parent texture, set it back to this. Then chosen is gonna become false. And we also need to remove this, the controller binding, so that it becomes available again. I believe we can use erase for that. Yes, because it takes a value. Good. Okay, now that's only for controllers. Let's see. Whoops. Sorry, just knocked the microphone cable on. Are you still teaching, sir? Yes. That's what I do for a living. Input event key. All right. It's pressed. Scan code. Key escape. Destroy the player. I want to set it to null, just for good measure. Reset the texture. Chosen false. Keyboard. All right. So, select and back. There we go. Select, back. Yeah, okay, it's crude. There's no special effects, but it does work. And then if I do X, why did it do this? Because it was chosen and it detected the keyboard. Okay. Interesting. That means controller number 2 can cancel controller number 1's character. Let's test that. X, Y, back, and then both back. Okay. We need to make a record of what was the device ID. Which would... we can do it here. If master node has controller with this device ID, then we're going to specifically remove only this device ID. Now here, we have to do the same thing but with the keyboard. Okay. X, Y, back, and then back doesn't do anything else. Y, back, except with spawning as the wrong character. Okay. Right, so we have a disconnect. I think we used to have an old system for selecting characters, and now we have a new one. So I think these objects have to record what player comes up with which character's skin. I think it has to be here. Character choices. I think that's what we need to do here. 3201, and then the type of controller. Okay, so you know what? We need to match player designs with the portrait numbers. So first character is this one, which means he's that one. Second character is this one, which means that's correct. Third character is big fucked up Afro guy, which means he's this. And then the last character is generic balding human. There we go. Okay. These need to be swapped. And now, before we do the ready function, which means before we add child, we have to populate the character choice. And I think character choice... We might want to just record that as an export variable, to be honest. Character ID or skins. Okay. It's a variable. Okay, so this is 1. This is 2. 3. And then 4. So what's going to happen now is that when we populate the character, right here, master node, character choices, append, and then character ID will be appended into that, and then after that, character claimed controller input method is going to be appended that way. Okay. Now we do the same thing here. X. Fail. Player input methods. Right. You know why? Because we're only... Player input method pulls from master node player input method, which does not exist. Okay, so we were actually attempting to set it directly here. But we should probably do it within the master node instead, because the player pulls it from the master node. It does not have to. We could reprogram it, but since we already have it pull it from here, then we're just going to go ahead and do it here. Okay. So. And this kind of makes sense because we will have to also use this data within the main level. And we have to do this before we instantiate the player. X. Dang it. Why is it this guy? Why? It's all... What? They're all the same. You know what? Probably... It has skins. Skins are stored here. And it corresponds to one of these four. We need to make sure we erase the character IDs as well. But that wasn't what was causing the issue, though. Oh, okay. Seems to be off. Doesn't have 4. That makes sense because it's actually... Oh, that's probably why. You know what? Sure, we're gonna make it a dictionary instead. 1, 2, 3, 4, so that we don't have to bother with the whole 0, 1, 2, 3 offset. My player number, however, might be an issue because that one starts with 0, so we'll probably add +1 to it. And then that tries to access input of that number, which does not exist. Okay, so keep it as an array, but maybe subtract 1 from here. Okay, return. There we go. Yes, return A. Yes, return B. Yes, it works. What is that number underneath the player? Can we get rid of that? Where's my music? Okay, so that works. We didn't see any crashes. I feel like I'm forgetting something. There we go. So we can't select any other players. That's good. Then we return back. Select this guy. We can make an entire game just out of this concept alone. B. X. Okay. how do we confirm that these are the players we want to play as? Have all 4 players interact with the Switch, maybe? Hmm. Oh, right. I was looking for the number. Hmm. Screenshot saved. It's okay. Game bar, go away. The inventory already being visible is not the most good looking thing. Okay, so this appears to be what we're talking to. Label. Yes. Just gonna set it to 0.0 from the get-go. Okay, come on. Tutorial. Yes. What's the issue? Oh, there we go. Nice. Okay, so how do we know if the character selection is finished? Okay, so B. Oh, that doesn't work. Scan code. Input event key. Did I misspell this? Key code. Okay. Okay, so we do B on the keyboard, X on one controller, Y on the second controller, which opens the inventory, but we'll deal with that later. Okay. We could make some crates for the player to destroy. Once they destroy the crates with the melee attack, then we'll know that characters have been chosen. Or we could say that if you destroy, maybe we can make it destroy the portrait. And then if it destroys the portrait, that's you confirming your character. That would be an interesting symbolic thing. Like you can't really go back after that. Oh, that's a problem. Did we forget to remove something? I think we did. Player input methods. Aha. yeah, that's what we should be removing. Mm-hmm. Hmm. How would we know that all players have finished making their choice? Because the fourth player could be sitting there waiting, texting on their phone. How does the game know? Hmm. Yeah, this is a weird one. Just want to get a bit of a shadow. Nice. Actually, the funny thing is destroying the portrait is actually a way to teach the player about melee. Hmm. Hmm. How do we know if all the players have made their choice? We'll put a timer. Do we count how many controllers are connected? We could put little timer above, and then you're supposed to make the choice before the timer runs out. Yeah, okay, you know what? I think that could work. It's not a bad solution. Maybe I can do something like an icon of a clock. First note for that, I need to connect my tablet again. Cursed limited USB ports on the laptop. Give me an hourglass. Okay. Let's just do this for a sec. There we go. We're gonna make it clockwise. Mm-hmm. Position it next to it. Okay. We need a timer, which will start automatically. Clock value is going to be based on timer time left divided by timer wait time. However, this is going to be reversed. Or is it? Maybe. We need to multiply by 100. Okay, yes, that works. We're gonna set it to, let's say, 10 seconds. Would be 7 seconds. Come on. Mm-hmm. Okay. When the timer is done, maybe we'll make it so that the portrait burns out, essentially. Okay, it's going to be a one-time timer. We're going to make chosen become true, essentially. Or do we? Let's do wasted. Or non-existent players. Just gonna do this. And same thing we do down here. And when it runs out, wasted becomes true. And then for the time being, let's just make it transition. So we're gonna use a tween to do so. Modulate, just modulate. It's going to be transitioning to color dark gray. I need something really, really dark. Not full gray. Well, not fully black. Okay. I think we just... Whoops. No color picker? Come on. Okay, 1 second. Duration, nice. Emoji and symbols. There's the pick color. Nice. Window. Why does it think that... Oh, right, because I'm literally running this in the wrong place. Okay, tutorial. Stop it. Oh, my pen is interfering with the mouse. Okay. But that only does it to itself. That's because we need to get parent. And now we also need to simultaneously make the clock disappear. We could do that. It's not pretty. And we can make some fire, animated fire appear there. Okay. The only thing is, I kind of want to position these. I want to position these in a more interesting manner. Okay. What do you think? Okay. We definitely need to do a couple of things here. I'm gonna make some parallel commands. So that it does multiple animations in parallel rather than one after another. So, clock modulate alpha is going to disappear to 0.0 over the course of 0.2 seconds. Same thing in parallel will also take place on what node? Key. Okay, so I want this and this to disappear quickly. Well, except now we have a problem. What if we only have one player, and then they didn't choose which character they want to play as? So maybe we don't auto-start it then. Maybe we'll let the first player choose, and then that is going to trigger the timer. Okay, that means we need to somehow get access to the timers. We're going to put them into a node group. Character select timer group. Okay, we have to do this for both keyboard and mouse, so we might as well make a function. Start all timers. Get tree, get nodes in group. And then 4t in timers. If the timer is stopped, not, I think. If it is stopped, then we start it, because we don't want the timer to start over and over and over again. Okay. Start all timers. So that is going to happen when a choice is made here. We're not doing this anymore. Okay, yes. And I would like the clock to not be visible unless the timer has started. Might have to change the tween to work here instead. Okay, clock modulate alpha will transition to 1.0 if timer is not stopped. Else it will be 0.0 when it is stopped. Minus the current value divided by 5 for a nice quick transition. Okay. So if it is, it's going to be visible if the timer hasn't been stopped and not wasted. You know, yeah, that's fine. Okay. Right. We're supposed to talk to the independent timer. Bam. Okay. What the heck? What happened here? Is it this thing? Oh, right. No, the spawn position shifted. Right, because we moved the node. Bam. Okay, but that doesn't make sense. It shouldn't go away if the player wants to still change their mind to choose a different character. It's not wasted. Let's just do this. Huh. Why does it do that? Shouldn't be doing that. Oh, hold on. This is input event. That does not run constantly. Yeah, okay, except it still does it. That wasn't even related to the transparency of the timer. It's this one. We commented it out. Start all timers. If it is stopped, it'll start. So we don't start it multiple times. If the timer runs out, wasted is true. You know, this doesn't really solve the problem with us wanting to destroy the the portrait. Weird, weird, weird. There's something else here that makes it disappear. Right here. And it does it when it's chosen. Uh-huh. And it does it to the whole thing. That's why. So it's only supposed to do that to the key. Bam. Get back. Chose again. Get back. Choose again. There we go. Right. It's still not great though. Maybe I'm overthinking it. Okay, there we go. And as of this point, the camera would just follow the player in question. Okay. We can technically do it from within all 4 of the prompts because they're all going to do the same exact thing. Here we have camera carriage. Get tree. Get first node and group. Camera carriage. And then we're going to simply set snapped to false. Bam. Okay, timer is running out. Bam. And then now the camera is following the character. Okay, now what if we had multiple characters? So we'll do bam, and then we'll do A. Okay. So we're still waiting for the timer to run out, which is not great. But now we have a mutual camera because it was already programmed to work like this if there's multiple players. And now we can't spawn any other players. Nice. Okay. It would be nice if the system was based on player action rather than on time. But we don't really know how many players there are unless we have the player choose how many players there are in the main menu. Hmm. Okay. Well, we have this system. I think we would be okay with this. If anything, we'll just put a pause menu where we can restart and remake the choices, the selections. Okay, cool. I think I'll just wrap it up here.